All right, real quick. So I'm gonna get into this because this is gonna lay the foundation for what I want to say. So the Gospel of John, John chapter 1. We're gonna start with verse 10. It's talking about Jesus. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. Verse 11. He came to his own, and his own received him not. Verse 12. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe on his name. Verse 13, which were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. And then verse 14, just to finish it up, and the word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten Son of the Father, full of grace and truth. So I wanted to start with the scripture reference of John chapter 1, because today in service, I heard something that I'm just going to be honest with and say I disagreed with. The message was great. It's talking about representing Christ and our identity, and how our identity in him being founded helps us with our priorities and different things. This is not a message, or this isn't a video that I want to throw shade in any kind of way, shape, or form on the message, nor on the messenger. But I did want to come very quickly and provide a little bit of pushback as far as what I heard. Y'all be quiet a little bit. And what I heard was John chapter 1 verse 13 was used to basically say that we had a purpose before our first birthday. Even though it is true that we did have a purpose before our first birthday, I personally don't think that John chapter 1 verse 13 was the correct verse to use to prove that, because that verse, we clearly know that it is talking about salvation. As many as believed him, he gave them the power to become the sons of God. That was verse 12 of John chapter 1. So you believe God, he gives you the power to become the sons of God. And then verse 13, which was the verse that was used to say that, your purpose isn't basically limited to, two people getting together and deciding to have sex. It was basically saying, who wasn't born of the flesh, nor the will of God, or nor the will of man, but it was by the will of God. Being born by the will of God is directly referencing being born again, because that's what verse 12 says. As many as believed him, he gave them the power to become the sons of God. The reason why I push back against how this was presented is because it takes the fire out of just how much danger we are in. We live in a fallen world. From the moment that Adam and Eve disobeyed God, we were doomed. All of humanity died in Adam and Eve. So even though God knew and knows everything, we can't necessarily say that somebody being born, we can't necessarily say that somebody being born as a product of incest was the will of God or was the plan of God. Even though somebody being born as a result of rape or incest or whatever the case may be wasn't the plan of God, the reason why there is an advocation for not aborting that child is directly related to the gospel. Because even though somebody wasn't supposed to get raped and have a child or molested, even though sin happens, sin is not in the plan of God. Sin is the plan of man. There are some men that were born of the will of the flesh. There are some men that were born of the will of man. That's the truth. To say that we weren't born out of the will of man is false. It's error. And it's maybe an error that isn't intentional, but just because it isn't intentional doesn't make it any less false than what it is. There are realities in this world that God did not create, but that were created from the heart of fallen people. there are people in this world that exist because they wanted to co-create another human being. But the thing that makes the difference is that God redeems. God became a man, he became flesh and dwelt among us. And as many as believed him, he gave them the power to become the sons of God. If you're not the sons of God, if you have to be given the power to become the sons of God, that means that you're not. Which means that you were born out of the will of man or out of the will of flesh. And so I just don't like the reading of that verse because it says something that's false. It says that there was an intention behind God having you being born from a rapist or being born from your own dad. If you were somebody that was molested by your dad, a woman molested by your dad. We're not qualifying sin in the world. And I think skipping over the fact that men are sinful and do things of their own will, we qualify. Hey, y'all, I'm competing with y'all. Stop it. I'm competing with y'all. I think to overstep and to sidestep the fact that sin is real and to say that, oh, before your first birthday, you had a purpose. I think that's not all the way true. Because maybe you didn't have a purpose before your first birthday. God is God. I'm competing with y'all. Y'all need to be quiet for a minute. God is God, right? Be quiet, please. God is God. God is sovereign, which means that he knows everything before it's going to happen. But just because God knows everything before it's going to happen does not mean that he planned it to be that way. Just because God knows the murderer is going to be born, it doesn't mean that God intended for that murderer to be born. That murderer could have been born because of somebody. Hey, why am I competing with y'all? I'm doing a video. That murderer could have been born based off of somebody's own disobedient actions. There are people that are living this life that maybe they shouldn't have been born, but God always knew that they were born. And because they were born and because the word became a flesh, there's still a chance for that person, not based off of them, but on God. And so the danger in what I heard over the pulpit today is that it really takes, it takes the severity out of the situation that we're in the human condition. The reason why we had to be born again is because we were born in sin and in iniquity. And what that means is that there are some people that, being the product of sin, you probably shouldn't even be here. But God in his riches and love and mercy, he still allowed us to live off of borrowed time and to come into existence from other sinful people. He could have killed Adam and Eve right then and there when they sinned, but he didn't. He let time go on so that people can have a chance to experience the grace and the goodness of God and get into the ark, which is Christ. And I just think that as pastors, we really have to stop doing this thing to where we just cherry pick verses to fit our agenda of our sermons that are good sermons, but at the end of the day, there's so much more that we can get out of that. And me personally, using a verse that's not really the best verse to state how we had a purpose outside, it's a very shallow treatment of scripture. And I just wanted to, I just wanted to bring full context to the verse that was used to say that your purpose is beyond your first birthday. Even though that is true, it's not true for all. And even though that is true, that's not what the verse is talking about. The verse says, as many as believed him, he gave them the power to become the sons of God. Sons of God are not born. The only son of God that was born was Jesus Christ. Sons of God are born again. And that's what that verse was about. And that's what I want to say.